Hey, how you doing? Scott here from scottsbasslessons.com, and today I have something completely different for you. I'm super happy to announce that Danny Mo Morris from the prestigious Berklee College of Music over in Boston has been cool enough to create an entire masterclass for the course library in the academy over at scottsbasslessons.com. If you don't know who Danny is, as I said, he's one of the longest serving faculty members over at Berklee College of Music, but he is also just a super cool guy, and on top of that, a phenomenal bass player and educator. In fact, the first time I saw Danny was on a YouTube video, and this was maybe like 4 years ago, and I can remember watching that video and just thinking, that there's something about this guy that I love, something about his educational style. I've got to get him involved in Scott's Bass Lessons somehow. So a few months back, I emailed him and said, we've got these live seminars happening every week in the academy over at Scott's Bass Lessons. Do you fancy doing one? And thankfully he said yes. And then that has rolled into him creating a masterclass for the academy course library, which obviously I'm really stoked about. The masterclass is called Creating Bass Lines and R&B Bass, and in that masterclass he takes you through 4 specific tracks and talks about how he goes about creating bass lines on the different tracks. He talks about the relationship between the drummer and the bass player. He talks about using arpeggios and harmony. He talks about using chromatic approach notes like James Jamerson. And on that note, actually, saying James Jamerson, Danny's thing, what I think he's really phenomenal at is getting that R&B, that old school sort of like James Jamerson style thing going on. He's just got such a great sound for that. He uses this really cool left-hand muting technique that, in all honesty, it's the first time I heard it was with Danny. I use it a lot now as well, but it's a left-hand muting technique that you will see in the lesson that you're about to check out. In fact, the lesson you're about to check out, he talks about we'll see the left-hand muting, but he also talks about how to use arpeggios around one of the chord sequences within the masterclass. And one thing I really want you to look out for in this lesson that you're about to watch from Danny is his rhythm. Like his rhythm and the way he uses it to be creative on the bass is, for me, absolutely second to none, and it's just what I absolutely love about his playing. Now, if you want to check out the masterclass, just click the link below this video, or we might have a link somewhere on here as well. But we've definitely got a link at the end of the video. So check out the lesson. And again, it's Danny's first time on the Scott's Bass Lessons YouTube channel as well. So click like and give him a ton of love, because he's just a super cool guy and he deserves it. So other than that, take it easy. I'll see you in the shed and enjoy this lesson. See you later. Bye.
I certainly do love James Jamerson's playing on all the Motown hits, and he would use chromatic approach, from one tonality to the next. Here's the root, here's the 4th, here's the 5th. So as a bass line, see how that works? You take the key ingredients of the chord, root, 4th, 5th, and now throw in a chromatic approach. Okay? And then after that chord's done, we had a G dominant chord. So here's a dominant chord. So I was up here, so now I'm going to descend. Okay? Again, it's worthwhile for you to practice your arpeggios because you can work them into your bass line. The concept is a great bass line overall. That's the finished product. But in terms of your ingredients and how you get there, there's no substitute for practicing your chord arpeggios and getting them into the sound of your head. Okay? So I'm going to do a track now, playing along with this song, more arpeggiating the chords, and then following that, we'll get back into an overall bass drum connection to the pocket, and that's more right-hand concept. So here's going to be one take through arpeggiating many of these chords. Okay, there was a lot of notes. If there was someone singing above that, or maybe a guitar playing a melody, I bet I would be more reserved. But as a way to practice the harmony through all the chords there, arpeggios come in handy. And you might even be able to use some of those arpeggios in the context of your bass line. There's one section where I do what's called a 3-6-2-5-1 change. So if number theory is new to you, check this out. I think it'll make sense. We're in the key of G. So there's your 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's your major scale. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So there's my 3. I'm going to arpeggiate a 3 major chord. Okay, here's my 6. Here's my 2. And here's my 5. Okay, 3, 6, 2, 5, all major chords. And then it goes to this section. Okay? Now, when you repeat a pattern, your bass playing is going to settle into the music. I think of the word transparent. It really doesn't stick out. At that point, the piano playing's sticking out. Maybe we could put a guitar solo over that, or a vocal. So when you do a repetitive pattern, your part sinks back, it's transparent, it'll work in the mix. So much so that if you do one little change up of embellishment, that will be your fill. You don't have to do anything too much when you're playing repetitive parts. And when you think about it, so much groove music has repetitive bass parts. All right, now we have the arpeggios, we have some of the chords explained. Now let's have a look at the kick drum pattern to this song, okay? It's a 4-bar phrase. I'll just use the note G. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and boom, 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 boom. That's the 4-bar phrase. And at the end of the 4-bar phrase, a hi-hat's going to open up, okay? Let's have a listen just to maybe the first 8 bars of the music and define that. You hear the hi-hat at the end of the 4-bar phrase. Okay. Here's the hi-hat. Okay. Coming to an understanding with your drummer on how you want to shape the music. I'm often thinking of binary form, 2s, 4s, 8s, 16s, in terms of dividing the music. I love looking at it that way. Yet part of me doesn't want to be so calculated to the point where I'm a prisoner to it. Because if you're just sensing that the music wants a little push, a little something, well, maybe in bar 3, you're going to do a fill, and that's completely cool. So now I'm going to put a bass part to the song with that kick drum pattern in mind, and that's going to inspire my bass playing. Okay, so we have the chords, we have the arpeggios, but I'm really going to hunker down and settle in with that kick. So here we go. the kick drum pattern,